For many of us, Skylanders was probably our first experience with Toys to Life content. Amiibos and Disney Infinity did come out shortly after, or LEGO Dimensions, as short-lived as that was, but I think most of us got into the first Skylanders or this sequel game we are about to cover first. How do you top your last game? Of course, the answer is to go bigger. Well, how about giant? Skylanders Giants does what the first game does, but now there are literal giant Skylanders you can collect and some new faces as well. Now, outside of the 8 they introduced in this game, there aren't more of them later in the games to come, but the figures are still rad. When we're talking about trophies, the trophy run goes bigger as well, taking full advantage of the new features like difficulty options, an increased level cap, and of course the new capabilities of the giant Skylanders. We will explore how this trophy run is an evolution of the last one, but thankfully still with its familiarities if you liked the first adventure. I never intended it to take so long in between Skylander episodes. Trust me on that. Like, the first game was episode 24 more than 2 years ago. But here is the highly requested giant-sized trophy guide. This is Platinum Hunters, the show where we take a look at everything it takes to get the Platinum Trophy and whether it's worth the effort to achieve it. Of course, check out that first game, Skylanders Spyro's Adventure, before you come and do this one. Get that plat, then get this one. They kind of follow each other nicely. And of course, don't forget to subscribe for more trophy guide videos just like this one, because you might just find your next Platinum Trophy. The structure of the trophy run remains the same as it was last time, but it is working with the new features found in the sequel as we mentioned in the intro. You still have chapter-specific environmental trophies, collectibles found on elemental side paths, trophies related to upgrading your collection of Skylanders, and of course more than just that. The difference is that you will need to do 2 playthroughs of the game instead of 1 because the game introduces difficulties now. And you'll need to do a second run on the hardest difficulty. I'll explain more about that in a bit. Keep in mind that this Toys for Life game requires a portal of power and at least 3 Skylanders of the element types from the starter pack. You don't necessarily have to get the same ones, but you will need 1 giant and 2 other Skylanders of those element types in order to play this. If you can get your hands on the actual starter pack, you will be good to go for the most part. However, I will say that having a bigger collection will benefit you greatly for this trophy run. Let's not waste too much more time and start the guide, but note, I have more helpful guides in the description below to assist you if you need it. Let's start with some background on the figures before we get into the game itself. As I mentioned earlier, you can complete this trophy run with the starter pack figures, which include the air element Jet-Vac, the Series 2 undead element Cinder, and the life element giant Skylander T-Rex. It will make the trophy run harder, but you can beat the whole trophy run with just these 3 figures. However, I think the game will be more fun and the trophy run more easier with at least 1 figure for all of the 8 elements, so I recommend tracking down a Skylander for each element. The figures with the orange bottoms are not expensive and are very numerous, so collecting these on the aftermarket is pretty easy. You can also use the green bottom ones from the first game, which are even easier to find secondhand. All 32 OG Skylanders are compatible and retain all levels, money, upgrades, and other things from the last game. Now if you find a blue bottom or red bottom figure and it's a Skylander that exists already in this game, it will also work when you place it on the portal. So there are tons of options when it comes to searching for these figures on the aftermarket. I was able to find all 8 Giants, plus many of the new figures for $1 to $2 each on places like eBay, Facebook Marketplace, and Mercari for all my US friends. As well, I got a lot of my figures from Value Village packs and Goodwill. Don't go overboard if you don't want to, but there is an advantage for having a sizable collection. Just like the last game, the more orange bottom figures you have, the higher your XP multiplier will be. This is really great for power leveling your collection and building a strong army of Skylanders that will help you complete the game much easier. Ultimately, it's up to you how much you want to collect these things, but at least it's still inexpensive at this point in the series. Sweet! You're filled in with Skylander knowledge that you're probably not going to use anywhere else, and now we can get into the trophy run. We have 13 unmissable story trophies to start with, leading up to the savior of the Skylanders Trophy for beating the game on any difficulty. These are all going to pop during your first playthrough, but there are plenty more trophies to grab. Now, in general, Skylanders Giants is a short game and a playthrough of it won't take you that long to complete. However, you will need to beat the game again on its hardest difficulty, Nightmare Mode, for the Nightmare Avenger Trophy. And man, this mode can be punishing at certain times. It's pretty easy goings in the beginning as enemies are still the weak ones, but later on when you're facing the bulkier ones, man, they hit hard and you'll go down in like 2 to 3 hits sometimes. Good thing I have a big collection of figures because some moments felt like Skylanders D-Day up in here. I was sending some of my lower level figures to die because these enemies hit way harder in this mode. Damn, if you're trying to beat this mode with just the original 3 in the pack, good luck. Even though T-Rex, Jet-Vac, and Cinder are excellent figures, they're very meta, at least I think so. If you lose all 3 of them, and you don't have any more figures to place on the portal, you'll have to start the level from the very beginning. That's why it's good to have some backup Skylanders to make sure you always have one to place on the portal. Thankfully, you can just main path the story this time, and you'll face fewer enemies this way and even skip a bunch of nerve-wracking fights. You'll find out quickly that this mode is not selectable the first time around, and it requires you to beat the story once on any difficulty to unlock it. There's also no New Game Plus functionality when starting your second nightmarish playthrough, but that's okay for the most part because your figure's level, money, and upgrades will all carry over thanks to their progression being in the figure itself. But that also means you forgo anything you haven't finished yet in the game, like collectibles and challenges. It is completely worth getting all the other trophies on your first playthrough and then starting Nightmare Mode to make this trophy run easier on yourself. Part of the fun of playing the Skylanders games is indeed the figures for sure, but also crawling into hidden areas and secret nooks and crannies that have a bunch of goodies in them. So let's cover the collectibles and their trophies, in which there are not as many trophies as you might think. The best collectible is all the hats you can get for the Skylanders, so for the Fashionista trophy, you have to collect just 10 hats. The game has a total of 89 hats that you can get through various means, but nope, just 10, that's it. When you see that giant present box, I get excited to shake it and see what is inside. Plus, you can purchase hats from this discount Moneybags fellow Auric at this shop inside the levels. So it's not hard to get 10 of them, but you might want to track down certain hats that will give your Skylanders big stat boosts that can help you chart Nightmare Mode easier. Less exciting and varied are the story scrolls, although they are cool if you're looking for more lore. You have to collect 10 of the 16 story scrolls for the Hint Scholar trophy. I have a feeling it's 10 instead of 16 because some of them are found in elemental areas that you can access with the starter figures. But I didn't really put in the work to test that theory out, I'm just thinking that's why it's 10 instead. Just keep exploring hidden paths till you find enough of them. There is one per level, so check your chapter select in the pause menu to see which ones you have. Next, we have a new collectible type that you can use to customize the look of your ship, the Dread Yacht. There are 16 parts, 1 per level, but the Seeker Adept Trophy only wants you to find 10 legendary ship parts. You find these in the exact same way as the hats, story scrolls, and everything else in this game. Since the starter pack only has 3 figures, the Soul Surfer Trophy accounts for this and only makes you collect soul gems for the Skylanders, T-Rex, and Jet-Vac. I guess the game could have made you collect them all, but they wouldn't have been useful without the figures, so this is much better. Now you find these 2 soul gems much later in your playthrough, as you find T-Rex in Chapter 12 in the Molken Mountain, and Jet-Vac in Chapter 14. First, head to Chapter 12, and you have to complete this block moving puzzle. As you see on screen, there will be the gem below. You can see it from the top where you're standing. Complete the puzzle and then push this block down and then drop yourself down with it. Push the blocks beside the gem in place and follow the path to your first soul gem. Now, we just need Jet-Vacs in Chapter 14, and this needs a little bit of explaining. So you will hop in and out of this gyrocopter at different parts of the level, and some of these moments are mandatory to progress. While ignoring the times you get out of the jet to explore optional paths, you will have to finish 3 of these walking sections in between the jet sections that are mandatory, and then hop in the jet again for the 4th time. Now the soul gem is located on the 2nd optional path, so watch carefully on screen now because it comes up fast and you could miss it easily. But when you land there, just go into the room and collect the last soul gem you need for the trophy. While doing these 2 playthroughs, cut out some time and replay any level so you can get the Completionist trophy for earning 3 stars on any adventure level. After each level, you will see how many stars you get once you finish, and there are different criteria for each star to get them. The first star is always guaranteed when you finish the level's story objectives, so don't worry about that one. The second star is a bit trickier as it contains objectives for beating the level under a certain time, beating the level without losing any lives, finding all areas including the hidden ones, and completing the enemy goal, which requires you to defeat a certain number of enemies. The third star is for collecting all the collectibles found in the level, like the ones we just talked about, and also including Luckotron wheels, winged sapphires, and whatever else pops up in these levels. Since you only need 1 level to complete, just get it done on the first level, especially if you're playing with just the starter pack Skylanders. And that's okay because Cinder has the Ghost Dash that you can use to get the time goal on the 2nd star. You don't have to do every objective in one run, so you can break it down one by one and then culminate everything. Collect all the collectibles in one play, then do the speedrun on another playthrough, then the enemy goal, and so on and so forth. If you're going to settle on the first level, let me enlighten you on how to get the Luckotron wheel. You will fight for your life in a chompy pit to open a gate and progress. Well, if you move this rock, you get to go back to the pit and do it again. Why would you want to do that? It's sneaky, but if you do this 3 times in a row, boom, the Luckotron wheel will appear. Instead of frantically searching for this thing, I thought I would let you know about it. Everything else you need is along the optional paths. After you collect all 3 stars on the first level or any level, you will get the trophy. Thankfully, it's only 1, or else you would really need a Skylander for each element. While going for the trophy run, you'll definitely get the Elemental Explorer trophy automatically because you entered your first elemental area. Even if it's not the first level, entering any elemental gated area will get you this trophy, so it's pretty much inevitable in the end. Okay, the Collectibles Trophy experience is not so bad after all. But now we are going to cover some trophies related to your individual Skylanders. And this is where things could be more painful depending on your luck. Let's start with the To The Max trophy for leveling up one Skylander to the max, which is now level 15. We got a 5 level bump from the last game. This works like any other game before. As you beat up enemies, you will get XP for the Skylander you're using, and you'll need to accumulate enough to power up to level 15. As we mentioned before, the more orange bottom figures you have, the more XP you'll collect, thanks to the boost you get for having more Skylanders in your collection. So if you're playing with just the starter pack Skylanders, the progression is going to be much slower, so this is the game's way of incentivizing you to get more figures. Now if you bend and decide to go the route, you might get lucky and plop a Skylander on the portal that's already level 15. If that's the case, make sure you press the select button and change the ownership of the Skylander to yours. This will instantly get you the trophy without having to do any of the dirty work. But if you're not that lucky, I think you will get the trophy either at the end of your first playthrough or somewhere in your nightmare mode play. As well, if you're super duper lucky, that same figure has all its upgrades purchased already and you get the Upgrade Uniter trophy just like that. One of the Skylander figures will have to have all its upgrades purchased, including the ability you get from collecting the Skylander's Soul Gem. Upgrading costs money, so you'll need to collect enough to purchase all of your Skylander's abilities, including the 4,000 treasure Soul Gem one. One thing to remember is that you will reach a point in your Skylander's ability tree where you have to choose one ability path or the other. You can't have access to both sets of abilities on one Skylander, so choosing one path and continuing from there will get you the trophy in the end, so long as there are no more upgrades to purchase. Hopefully you just plop the figure on the portal of power and it's got all its upgrades. The green bottom Skylanders from the first game have a good chance of that happening. And if you are super duper duper lucky, you might find a Skylander with a ton of treasure on it already. That will be very, very good for getting you the Spend That Loot trophy. The trophy wants you to amass a whopping 65,000 treasure on one Skylander, which is a lot of money in this game. Chances are you won't be able to find a Skylander with that much money on it already, but that's okay because we can make up the difference. The absolute best way to get treasure is by completing the arena challenges, which have pretty great payouts when you beat them. However, after you beat them once, you will get less treasure the second time you beat the challenge, so you will still need to make up the rest another way. I suggest doing this in your nightmare playthrough, meaning you'll need one Skylander the whole time, if you can keep that Skylander alive. Otherwise, the best option would be to unlock all of the 3 locked chests where you have to mash the button with the same Skylander you're trying to make rich. Make sure you also have as many Luckatron wheels of wealth equipped as you can, because that will increase the chance of making treasure worth double when you pick it up. It's like getting a critical hit except for your money. So as you can see, there's a bit of grinding that could arise depending on the head start you have, but keep making that moolah until you collect 65,000 treasure. Since we introduced them, let's now talk about the trophies you can get from the Gladiator Arena and a few other trophies you can get directly from your ship. The 1-0 trophy is yours when you complete your first arena challenge. You will need to recruit Brock to your ship crew first by completing Chapter 3, but then you can go into the arena and clear the first set of 7 challenges one by one. You'll need to beat all 21 of them to unlock the Great Gladiator Trophy, and this isn't going to be a complete walk in the park. Once you unlock the other 2 arenas with 7 more challenges each, you can work through them all, ideally with your best upgraded Skylander. By Chapter 12, they will all be accessible, and each challenge will have a different gimmick to them, like protecting a tower from damage, or playing sumo and knocking them off the edges, or other gimmicks like that. Hell, the 7th challenge in each set asks you to beat it without taking damage, so like I said, this won't be a complete walk in the park. The Skylander I found the easiest to use here was Sonic Boom, who can dish out the right amount of damage and also send out clones of himself to do dirty work when I needed to hang back. What's that? You're only working with the starter Skylanders? No problem, because Cinder can easily get the job done, as her Ghost Dash is really good and does a ton of damage to enemies. Keep in mind that I had these two very close to max level, and with the majority of their upgrades already unlocked. As well, I tended to favor one of them for all the fights because, as I mentioned before, some of the treasure payouts for these challenges are pretty great and you want to cash in for that other trophy. So get her done and entertain these bloodthirsty spectators already. As well, get some trophies and treasure in the process. As opposed to the 21 battles of resilience in the combat arena, the A New Hero trophy is much more forgiving, only asking you to complete one single heroic challenge. These are challenges with a specific objective, which are really good to do if you want to increase the stats of your Skylander that completes it. There are quite a few different heroic challenges like this one where you have to smash 6 paintings before time runs out, but you can choose any of them for the trophy and you just have to clear one level and that's all that's required. The last trophy to get from the ship is called Clean Jersey, and below deck on this gunner turret you will need to complete the artillery rocket minigame without taking damage. It can't be the sheep one or the exploding barrel one. No, that would be too easy. It's gotta be the one with the barrage of rockets coming right at you. You seriously have to be fast to shoot down all of these rockets, in which you need to hit 30 in a row to win the minigame. It gets seriously overwhelming, and this trophy took me a good half an hour of tries. You'll need a bit of luck, plus your reflexes will need to be sharp when moving the reticle around. Plus, if you have a tech Skylander on the portal, this will have you shoot faster. It's a really good perk for the tech class. Now, it's going to be random as to which minigame will appear when you step on the gunner, but if you mess it up, just leave the room, then go back down the hatch, and eventually it'll appear again. This trophy can certainly be annoying, but persevere and keep trying till you get it. And then, take a break and revel in your success. Just chill for a sec. And also hit the like button for me while you got the moment to yourself. I'll appreciate it. Now, we are ready to take this trophy guide home with our last batch of trophies. This time, every single level in Giants has its own environmental trophy with specific criteria. So that means there are 16 of them to collect, and it's time to go level by level and tell you exactly how to get them. Some of them are simple and some of them can be a pain in the butt. I'm gonna provide you with a ton of info on what to do, plus in the description I have more helpful guides and videos, so don't worry, we got this. First up is the Elemental Enthusiast Trophy in Chapter 1, where you need to open all 3 elemental areas in the level. There is one area for the life element, undead, and air elements, and that is literally corresponding to your 3 starter Skylanders in the pack. So if you've bought the game and don't have T-Rex, Jet-Vac, and Cinder, you will need to track down those figures or any other figures in the life, undead, and air elements. This is the only trophy in the run that requires certain element types in order to get it, so that's not so bad. After we step off our new fangled flying machine for the first time, we are in Chapter 2 and we can get the Chain Champ trophy. Get ready to pull off your first feat of strength by pulling this floating island on a chain closer to you. This requires you to use a giant Skylander in order to pull this off, and the feat of strength is located later in the chapter close to the end. Just look for the floating island on a chain and you'll know that's the right one. Then in Chapter 3, you'll pull off another feat of strength so you can get the Log Lifter trophy. This time, you lift and toss a bunch of logs that block your way, and the feat is located towards the middle of the level where the bridge collapsed under you. It's on the lower part of the section, and you just have to toss those logs for the trophy. These feats of strength usually lead to money, so it's good to find them all and get that coin. Chapter 4 is where you learn to play Skystones, which I find very fun, and the games are super quick, which means they're the perfect minigame. So you'll learn to play it here, and the Skystone Sampler Trophy is up for grabs by collecting all the Skystones in this chapter. After you get your deck, you can play against random citizens, and when you win, you get a Skystone as a reward. This isn't exclusive to this level, but while the Skystone duelists are more hidden in other levels, the 3 you need in this chapter are on the main path and part of the story. So you'll have to get this trophy very naturally. Try to get the Skystone Strategist trophy in the process, as you'll need to capture 2 stones using 1 stone while playing a game. This can be a bit situational because the AI has to set up their stones in a way that will let you capture 2 stones at once, but with only 5 stones in your deck, the opportunity might arise and you might not have a stone with the triangles in the right direction. That's the way it's going to be, but with some luck in the process, you will get the opportunity and the right combination on the board. Take it and capture 2 stones for the price of 1. Getting back to the chapter trophies, another guaranteed trophy has to be the Snowman Slammer trophy in chapter 5. You have to destroy 7 snowmen, and right when the level loads and the screen pans over it, you pretty much see the 7 snowmen you need to get the trophy. They are all on the main path, so getting it is a very easy one. Easy as opposed to this next trophy, which ended up being very frustrating. It's the Auto Gyro Pyrotechnician trophy in chapter 6. During the parts of the level where you're riding on the Archaean robot, you have to be sharp and destroy all the red Archaean auto gyros that appear on screen. This is an on-rails section where enemies pop up in front of you and you have to shoot them. You have your regular firepower for shooting them, but sometimes it's just best to give them a good punch that will clear the screen. The problem with this trophy is that if you miss just one of them, you'll have to start the level all over again. To make matters worse, you'll ride the robot 3 times in the level, so it's really gonna suck if you mess it up in the later sections. Most of the gyrocopters will attack you, but there are ones that just run away, and these are going to seriously kill some of your runs. There are runners in all 3 sections, so memorize where they spawn and shoot them quickly. This is definitely the hardest chapter trophy of them all, and good luck with this one. Less hard, but equally annoying is the next trophy, because there is no in-game counter telling you how many of them you need, and they are all found on side paths. It's just all around frustrating if you're trying to do this without a guide. It's the Talker in a Strange Land trophy found in chapter 7, and you have to talk to all these creepy as hell Willikins, or at least the ones that are willing to have a conversation with you. First problem, you can't talk to them when you don't activate the statues, so that's a little agitating. Problem 2, they're not just found on the main path, you can find them inside of buildings and inside of secret paths that lead to goodies. Trust me, just use the video I provided because this level is big, and my god, you're not going to naturally find every nook and cranny by yourself. Save yourself a headache. Onward to chapter 8 now, and this next trophy can be a little tricky if you are not using the right Skylanders. Time to dodge cannon fire for the Cannon Confounder trophy, as you aim to complete the level without getting hit by any of the cannon shots. There is one cannon in the middle of the level, but all the real action happens at the end of it, which is a bummer to restart if you get hit. You have the upfront cannons that will try and shoot you, but you also have these ones in the back to worry about too. You'll need to break the front cannons to progress using a giant and these mortar bombs, all while getting through the path without being hit once. If you have Cinder or any Skylander with a dash attack, it makes this task much easier. Slower Skylanders are going to struggle through the path where you're just being bombarded by cannon fire. Once you make it to the top, uncannonballed, if that's even a real word, just finish the chapter and the trophy will be yours. Okay, from here, the chapter trophies start to lay off and get more manageable. The Chaos Buster trophy is in chapter 9, where you have to destroy 10 Chaos Busts. This task is very easy because they are all found on the main path and close to each other. You have some just beside the entrance to Chaos's castle, and then the rest are inside the castle once you get the big doors open. Then walk in and collect the rest. It's pretty hard to miss these statues in general, but now you know where to look. Just as easy is the Mine Menace trophy when your ship gets attacked and you have to shoot the pirate ships down in Chapter 10. The objective here is to shoot down 10 mines that appear when you man the ship's defense turret, the same turret for the other trophy, Clean Jersey. They just float on screen and you just have to shoot them. There is more than one opportunity to hop on the turret in this level, but this trophy is so easy that you can get it on the first time you hop on. It's that simple. Man, did I love this next chapter. We have the Pipe Petard trophy in Chapter 11, and we have to throw a pipe at this pure wrapping machine named Drillex. This bot has some serious flow and was spitting some game about your mom. Well, not really. That would have been funny as hell if he did, though. But anyways, this trophy is simple too. Grab a giant from your collection, grab a pipe on the ground, and chuck it at this rap god here. Then enjoy the rest of the fight where he talks pure smack and gets smacked. Chapter 12's trophy is gonna need a giant too. You have to destroy 3 enemy huts with boulders to get the Hut Wrecker trophy. These are these dome-shaped huts where enemies will pop out, and you can tell which one they are because when you're holding the boulder, they will flash white. There's one close to the beginning of the level, then the other 2 are right beside each other, just a little further down the path. Make sure you don't miss it like I did, so you don't have to restart the level over again. Column Crusher in Chapter 13 is another easy one. When you're progressing through the trials given by this weird squid thingy, you will reach the second one and find a bunch of these columns in a circular fashion. Just break them all before you finish the second trial, and you are laughing. Just look out for the sand, and then the columns will be right there in your face. I think this Chapter 14 trophy is also an easy one overall, but there are a few factors that make it a bit nerve-wracking. Pedal to the Metal is what it's called, and it's for collecting all 16 of these purple energy crystals called Speed Boosts in the long haul section of the level. There will be more than 16 of these speed boosts in the level in total, but it's only the ones that appear in the last jet section of the level that count. You'll know it when the counter in the top right part of the screen appears and it says 0 out of 16. The nerve-wracking thing I mentioned is that you can miss them if you're not careful and recklessly boosting. Plus it's at the end of the level, so messing it up will result in you starting over. That's a bummer, but the good news, I got it on my first try, so just focus on flying and you'll be fine. 2 more to go for the last 2 chapters, and then we out of here. We have the Freeborn Isn't Free trophy in Chapter 15, and it's a simple trophy if you've gotten good at Skystones and built your deck out nicely. You'll need to find and defeat Freebot in a game of Skystones. First, let's track him down. On the main path, you will end up by a set of spikes that pop out of the ground like so on screen now. This is pretty close to the beginning, so refer to where I am and then jump down this cliffside to a secret section. Freebot will be inside the cave, and now you just have to beat him. He's got strong Skystones, so make sure your deck is good enough to beat him and get the trophy. And finally, we leave this trophy run with a relatively easy one, provided you are careful. The last trophy of the guide is called Keeping Cool, where you have to complete Chapter 16 without taking any damage from any of the fire traps. These are the geysers of fire coming out of the machines, and it's pretty easy to walk around these things generally, but some of them appear beside conveyor belts leading right to them. But still, you can walk through them during the moments where they stop shooting up. Now, just get to the boss fight, and once you do, you'll get the trophy if you didn't get your tail feathers singed. And there we have it! Chaos's plan foiled again. We got to play with our toys and level them up even further. That's all in a day's work for you, Portal Master. So if you've saved the Skylands once again, significantly increased the size of your hat collection, became an expert at the game of Skystones, leveled up your best bud Skylanders to the max, and collected all the trophies, Congratulations! You will be awarded the No Way Platinum Trophy for Skylanders Giants. Overall, this trophy run is just as good as the first. It reminds me a lot of that first game, and taking a peek into the next game's trophy list looks like the trend isn't changing all that much. Difficulty-wise, the first game may have had tougher chapter trophies to deal with, but this game has Nightmare Mode to deal with, so the difficulty evens out. And maybe it's more in the game's favor because of the arena challenges, which were not required in the last one. But this one, you can do everything else on easy mode and then go for your Nightmare Mode play, so I think it's just all relative. I think their difficulties are pretty similar. I think I like the first game a little bit better, but this game is still great and a good one to grab the plat for. We move onward to our next adventure in the Skylands, in which there's going to be an issue. Technically, the next game in the series is Skylanders Swap Force, but that plat is unobtainable, so Trap Team is our next one. But do you know why Swap Force is unobtainable? Well, it's for one trophy, which is a piss off already. But do you know what you had to do for that trophy? Read a sign once. I wish I was making this up. This game had online servers in which you had to read this sign once, and oh my god. Well, I'm gonna leave before I absolutely blow my top over this factoid. Ooh, that really grinds my gears. I want that plat. That's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed. I'm kind of feeling a little under the weather, so if my voice sounds weird, it's because of that. I hate getting sick, especially when I have to record videos. So if I do sound weird, that's the reason why. But I hope you enjoyed the video anyways. Let me know if you're building your Skylanders collection out to the size that I'm building it out. And of course, subscribe for more videos. I hope all your trophy hunting expeditions go incredibly bad, awful, just the worst. Like, you can't get enough money to get that one trophy in this game. It's Halloween. This is the time where I get to be evil Josh. Wish you not well at all. Peace out.